Kodesh Tov, everyone. Spring is here. It is a start to a new month, and it is actually a start to a new year. So happy New Year, everybody. In Judaism, we have 4 New Years, and Rosh Chodesh Nisan is one of them. But I actually have us jump into our sit. Mark's let us in. I know we're here to sit. So let's find our seat, find our breath, inhaling, big audible exhale. Inhaling, exhaling. Rosh Chodesh Nisan is the beginning of the Jewish people. It is the first commandment in Torah to observe the new moon of Nisan. It is a time to recognize and have agency over our freedom. And we are invited to do this on an individual level and a collective level. We are invited to clean our house, to clean our body, to clean our mind, and to move towards expansion and freedom, each of us all together. As we enter our practice, want to just start with ourselves, a chance to become more free. I'm actually going to invite us to do a couple of stretches. And I know some people just came from yoga, but I want to invite all of us to do that because first we feel freedom in ourselves and then we can bring it to other people. So inhale, reach your arm over to the side and see if you can find some space using your breath on your side body. Allowing your eyes to stay closed with every inhale, expand out, and every exhale, just try to find a little more spaciousness. Feel free to open your mouth and let an audible exhale happen if this is your first time stretching today. Inhale, expand your arm and reach towards your freedom. Exhale, settle into it. And slowly, when you're ready, you can switch sides. Exhaling. Inhale, reaching for freedom, reaching for expansion. Big exhale. Come back to center. Find your breath for a moment. Notice if anything changed in your body. Now we're going to bring some awareness to our spine, the great messenger of our body. And we're going to curl in a little bit, strengthening, lengthening your spine. Find your breath. Inhaling here, curling in, One more exhale. And let's counterbalance that by actually doing a very slight back bend, lifting your heart to the sky, finding your breath. Springtime energies enter our being with a fresh chance to harvest and collect. Inhaling, open your hands, your palms out, slight back bend. Inhale, big, free, audible exhale. And come back to center, a couple of breaths. Of course, in Judaism and Hebrew, the word for breath and soul come together. So inhaling some soul, exhale some soul. We'll take our last stretch, a slight twist to the right. Inhale, lengthening your spine. Exhale, twisting. See, with every inhale, you can find a little more expansion and space. Exhale, you ease into that. On your next exhale, switch sides. Inhale, lengthening towards freedom. Exhale, finding a step further in that twist. And unwind. Allowing your eyes to stay closed. Continue tracking your breath, simply breathing in, letting your belly expand. Breathing out, emptying your belly. Notice any place in your physical body that feels constrained, that feels Mitzrayim. You use your breath and your intention for this sit to see if you can find a little expansion, a little freedom in your physical self. There is always something keeping us constrained, and there's always a chance in Nisan to remember our power, our freedom, and our opportunity to renew. On the full moon of Nisan, most of us will participate in one of the oldest rituals on earth, the recounting of the story of Exodus. This month is filled with themes. Inspired by our ancestors' story, we are also invited to participate in leaving Egypt, to liberate ourselves, to take ownership and agency over what we can control, to move from a narrow space to an expansive space. For Rosh Chodesh Nisan, let's just notice what we see will be our work. Notice the tight spots, the constraints in our physical body, in our minds, in our hearts, without judgment, just a noticing. In order to move towards freedom, it will take courage, it will take community, and it will take joy. Imagine one thing in your life that you'd like to dedicate this Nisan to become more free. Imagine you have the strength and courage of your ancestors, the midwives who stood up to Pharaoh. Root into their courage to take the steps for you and imagine yourself doing it. And it will take all of us responsible for ourselves and for each other together. In Nisan, we share our stories, we recount, we tell. Imagine yourself telling your story, inviting someone close in your life to move towards freedom with you. Imagine yourself sharing your intention for Nissan with others, leaning on them for help, and also being a source of strength for others' transformation too. Imagine everyone leaving Egypt together. Notice the quality of your breath. Lastly, it will take joy. Imagine yourself as the tambourine walking with Miriam as we take steps collectively towards our freest version of ourselves. And you can dance and you can sing, not because we're there. Passover is the first moment of freedom, but because we're on our way. Claim this moment, this Rosh Chodesh Nisan, as a celebration of your wholeness. Each of us are alive and free. In our last moments of our sit today, perhaps use that as an anchor. I am alive and I am free. Inhaling, I am alive. Exhaling, I am free. Inhale together. Big exhale. Inhale together, all 219 of us. Exhale together. When you're ready, you can allow your eyes to open. You can see if you can find somebody else through the Zoom screen and give them a little smile and our high five for the hard work that they're doing for themselves alongside you. It's Rosh Chodesh. It's a time for intention setting. Feel free to write down what your intention is for Nisan or something that you want to anchor for yourself for this month. This is a new year for us. What are our resolutions? What are we working towards? Chodesh Tov, everyone. So good to be with you. I'm wishing everyone the most expansive Nisan we can do, knowing that 5785 is like this. And as a result, how can we respond? What can our wisdom hold us with? Chodesh Tov, passing it back to you, Mark.
Thank you, Sarah. Chodesh Tov to you, and thank you so much for the really wonderful way for us to enter into the month of Nisan together. Let's seal that practice with an opportunity. Those of you who are in mourning, observing a yard site, if it's your custom to join in Kaddish, are welcome to do so. You can put that the name or names of those you're honoring in the chat today, as I will do either now or after we recite Kaddish. I'm saying Kaddish today for my cousin, Arthur Abramson, and invite you to share that into the names as well. If you're not reciting Kaddish, please stay present for those who are for a few minutes to support them. Thanks to Rachel for sharing the words on the screen. And if you're joining with Kaddish, please rise in body or in spirit. You can unmute at this time. Yitgadal, Yikadash, Shemei Rabbah, Yamad, Yikbach, Yimate, Yamid, Malchute, V'chayechon, Yomechon, V'chaye, T'chal Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala, B'zman Kariv, Yimru, Amen.
Amen.
Yehi Shmei Rabbah, Barach,
Barach
V'yam,
V'yam,
Yitbarach, V'yishtarach, V'yishbach, V'yit'am, V'yitnaseh, V'yihadar, V'yitaleh, V'yitalal, Shmei v'Kedusha, V'yichu. La'ela, Kol Birchata V'Shirata, Tushbachata V'Nechamata, V'Amiram V'Nachama V'Yimru.
Amen.
Yehi Shlama
Shlama
Rabba
Rabba
Yishmaya, Chaim
Chaim
Aleinu
Aleinu
Kol
Israel.
Yisrael, Amen.
Amen.
Oseh
Aseh
Shalom
Shalom
Bimama,
Bimama.
Hu Yaseh Shalom, B'Keinu
Be'evel
Israel.
Israel.
Yalpo Yosef
Beit
Tevel,
Bimru.
Imru, Amen.
Amen.
Friends, thanks so much for joining us today. If you're leaving us now, here's our lineup of teachers for the rest of the week. Tomorrow, Allison Cohn will be leading us. Wednesday, Sabrina Sojourner. Thursday, Yiska Smith will join us from Jerusalem. And Friday, we will sit into Shabbat with Rabbi Shefa Gold. So a beautiful week of practice. Looking forward to that with everyone. Sarah, thank you so much. As always, keep your beautiful intentions and comments and coming in the chat. If you have a question you'd like to ask Sarah, please put in the chat and preface it by writing question all in caps, and I'll try to keep an eye out for that. Thanks to Rachel Huget for holding our tech space beautifully today, as always. Sarah, I just want to, just since we're fresh into the new month, and I know tonight is the global circle for At the Well, maybe you want to say a few words about what that is, and we could put the link in for how people can join tonight if they like.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. So I run At the Well, and tonight we have our virtual program. Tomorrow in DC we have an in-person program for Rosh Chodesh, and I put the link in there to actually all of our events. Next month we'll be in San Francisco, so come be with us either virtually or in person. And At the Well is an organization that promotes belonging and personal transformation rooted in Jewish wisdom. Obviously, we're in good company here with IJS, and specifically rooted in the concept of time and present moment awareness with Rosh Chodesh and the themes of each month. Every month has its own Torah portions, and many have holidays that are only 1 month doesn't have a holiday actually. So there's a lot of wisdom to anchor in terms of Jewish time, in terms of the month. And I have found it to be an incredibly easy and helpful tool to integrate a secular life and a spiritual life at the same time, by being present in knowing that it's March 31st and also it's the second of Nisan, and that those are both happening right now. And um, yeah, just invite people to come do programming with At the Well as well.
Thank you. Thanks, Sarah. That's great. Really happy. We're just, very blessed by the partnership with At the Well and this opportunity to practice with you on our round Rosh Chodesh every month. I kind of felt like, well, I had the thought that came to my mind during the practice of, one thought was, wow, I don't need a Seder anymore. This is really kind of the essence of the practice of the Seder. And the other was the
You need a
question.
Seder.
Sorry, I do need a Seder.
Yeah,
I'm being
this is different, but
a little tongue in cheek. But
yeah.
the question I do have, and which others might have had the same question, because it really is you led us really beautifully from start to finish in a journey, right? From constriction to expansion. Just starting with creating space in the body by the simple turning and stretching and breathing, and it can be as simple as that. Um, and
Can
that
I
is,
pause for a second and say that, like, that can I just jump in? Like,
yeah,
for me, again, like, I'm coming from my experience and trying to help in ways that can be helpful. But if I'm tight in my body, there's no way I'm going to be there. I'm going to be open in my mind or my heart.
right.
And there's this interest. There's all these so much in Nissan to talk about, but Pharaoh's heart was hardened. And so part of our job is to actually do the reverse of that and to open our hearts. And I think there's so many different ways for us to be doing that, including telling stories and being with community and having the Seder and recounting stories of our ancestors, being invited to do that too. And in 5785, we are also living in a time of full awareness of body and the importance of that. I think Passover is one of the times that you can point to, actually, unless you're eating the bread of affliction, matzah, all week, every meal, which I think so. I was raised in America to like eat matzah for breakfast and dinner, and it was just kind of part of it. But the Seder plate is actually full of like fruits and or vegetables that are about cleansing of the time. And it's a week of intentionality of body connection. So I'm inspired to expand that for the whole month, and to think about small ways that I can be more free in my body, so that I could even attempt to be more free in my mind and my heart. And side bends can do that pretty quickly, and a twist can do that pretty quickly. And if you don't have, an hour and a half for a yoga practice, you certainly can just remember to try to bring more expansion in the body in any moment for the month of Nisan.
Yeah, I thought, the connection I was going to make was with the Seder, and I want to put you on the spot, but I am interested in talking a little bit about the Seder, about how to bring some of this into the Seder, because I know a lot of people are anticipating their Seders, and, you know, there's obviously a total spectrum of what Seders are like. But very often, I think Seder's don't necessarily give people that experience of moving from constriction to liberation. It can be wonderful family time, it could be wonderful food, it can be wonderful connections, and all of that is like Dayenu. That's good enough right there, right? But many of us, including I'm sure a lot of people who are here on the set, are really eager for that kind of experience of it. So I don't want to put you on the spot. I don't want you to have to talk
Well,
about your.
I'm feeling the spot
All right,
because I'm.
go ahead. I want to ask you, like, for your Seder, are there things that you do, like what we did today, or things that are helpful to bring some of the experience of moving from constriction to expansion into your experience? Is that something that you have?
Yeah, when I don't feel on the spot, I'm excited to share that we have a lot of
Great.
resources from At the Well beyond the events. We have a guide to every Hebrew calendar month that has a lot of practices that could be brought either into the Seder or in small group work around the Seder.
Mhm.
And we're going to have a Haggadah insert that will come out, I think, next week. So At the Well's got resources for you to take on. But your question was for me personally. I mean, right now we're at a stage in my family's life where we have 6 kids that are little.
Mhm.
And so our Seders are turning into being dress up, and we are telling everyone's got a character, and we're acting it out, and we're silly, and we're trying to bring joy to the story. Whereas, a decade ago, it was all my brothers and our spouses and adults, and we were having, more intellectual conversations around many different themes. So I think that there will be some of that once we put the
Mhm.
kids to bed,
Mhm.
and the Seder is long. But I think that, I mean, I taught yoga and mindfulness for 10 years before I started At the Well. I've been working on for 10 years now. So my family is used to me doing things like what I did with all of you. And I
Mhm.
think it's welcomed. And I think that actually stretching can be one of the most practical applications of doing something together, but having everyone feel a little bit of like
Mhm.
what a quick little stretch might do for moving from tightness to a little more expansion. Because unless you're a loosey 40-year-old, like a side bend is pretty substantial, for you to just notice how you can have a little bit more space in your
Mhm.
spine or a twist or going like that. So
Yeah.
I think that the side bend, forward, back, twist in any dimension is a very simple way to teach this concept of expansion or freedom that's not intellectual, but it is
Mhm.
physical.
Yeah.
And I think the Seder, even though it does feel like an intellectual, you're reading a book, you're in your mind, there's signs of embodiment in other places too that might not be what you're talking about in the
No,
traditional
no,
setting.
it's exactly what I'm talking about. I think what you're saying
There's
is, like
food, there's
that.
singing, you have to wash your hands.
Mhm.
So lean into the physicality and the examples of how there's elements in front of us, there's connection to nature in front of us, and there's embodiment that's in front of us.
Mhm.
That, and not to let it get lost in the many different pages of how many, of things you have to do before dinner. How
Right.
can you bring that into a little more awareness?
So there's a couple of questions in the chat, which was, are in keeping with what I was going to ask you next, which has to do with, the times we're in right now with what's happening in our country and what's happening in the world. And so I wanted to, again, it's kind of a personal question about, how to integrate, right? How to integrate these themes of Nissan um, with awareness of and response to um, how these themes are showing up in our world right now.
Where to start?
Yeah.
I am right here in Washington, D.C. with you all. Um, the politics are affecting my family personally. Um, I don't have anything like
Yeah.
that is going to, that is so eloquent other than 5785 is like this. And we are part of a long line of people who've been constrained at various times, at various levels before. This is the whole story. There's so much relevance that you don't have to dig far into the story to find something that's relevant. And so therefore tap into, and I don't need it, I mean, I'm telling the IJS daily sits, these, we're all pretty engaged, but have permission to go all the way. And especially if you're the person in your family that is anchoring tradition, that you can try to meet people where they are, uh, and use the technology and the techniques and mechanisms of Judaism for this season, because it is relevant, it is needed, it is timely, and it is so cool to participate in something that's so old that I think it can give a little bit more spaciousness and things to root into so that we can feel whole in ourselves, so that we are able to take big, courageous steps as a community forward in the ways that we need.
Yeah.
And I know that the Jewish people currently are pretty divided politically. So please don't make your Seder be another one of those places. Let's use Judaism to have an opportunity to connect with the wisdom so that we can bring wholeness and love and soften our hearts with each other. And I just, there's enough family that are ripping apart. That's not going to help anything.
Really appreciate that, Sarah. And I do think, like you're saying, lifting up the values that are inherent in it, that they can speak for themselves. Um, I would add that, I guess, in contexts where there isn't necessarily the threat of that divisiveness that I know there are the people who want to integrate some action or something specific that they can do to bring attention to an action that can be taken in response to um, constriction in the world.
There's so
Um,
many different places in the Seder where people are agreeing and disagreeing with each other,
right,
that it's all there.
right.
Um, so I just feel like we can use the full moon of Nisan to come towards each other while we recognize we don't have to always agree on every single thing. Where there are 60 people at the Sea of Reeds or 700 people, I can't recall, and I don't think the rabbis could recall either.
Hmm.
But let's make sure that we're telling our stories of our ancestors and we're also telling the stories of our lives,
Yeah.
and that we are doing our part to become more free. Each of us is invited to do that.
Now, one more thing, which is that among the ingredients that you know, offered up in the recipe today was joy. So I want to invite you to say a little bit more about that, which has come up. And I think for many people, it may feel counterintuitive these days, but I do think it is part of the practice, right? It is you inviting us to carry our timbrels with us and be ready to dance also, right?
In the
So,
Hebrew calendar, everything's intertwined, right? And it's like it's cyclical time that connects us to ancestors everywhere, and it's linear time that connects us with specific events. And in cyclical time, we know that Nisan is follows Adar, which is about joy, and it precedes Iyar, which is about healing. So the theme of freedom is directly connected to joy and to healing, and that those are on either side of them.
yeah,
And I don't want to lose sight of that because it's so easy to be negative, but that's not like that is not where action comes from. You can be mad, that might feel change, but that without joy, you're going to burn out. And so I mentioned the courage that it takes to become free, the courage that it takes to use your voice, the courage that it takes to heal a relationship with a family member, the courage it takes to change all your plates and take the time to do it, the courage that it has to face your own limiting beliefs and to move towards a more free version of yourself. And there's so much courage that's needed in order to become free. And I think that what is an important thing to do, and I'll speak for myself, is to do that big personal work, but in the context of joy. I'm not a bad person. This world is um, mine to be a partner with. And it is joyous that I get a chance to do that. And in the context of my ancestors, I am still the freest version of all of my ancestors. I am beyond their wildest dreams.
mm,
I have access to so much. I am healthy. I am in a safe place in this moment. And I don't want to lose sight of that. Let's be joyous of that and use it in order to bring other people along with me, the people who are not as free as me, the people who are actually not free
mhm,
within our community and with outside of our community, our neighbors that are along with us. So I don't want to lose sight of that. I want to be
yeah,
joyous about it. I want to pass joy to my daughter. I want to pass joy up to my parents. I want us to have, I think that if you strip everything away for Judaism, it's why and it's belonging. And it's also doing everything you can towards leaning towards joy. Even if, like we said last month, joy isn't always happy. It is facing your feelings fully.
right.
And so that's why I wanted to make sure that we had joy, because even if Miriam got in trouble for the tambourine for some midrash, she still was there and it's still recorded that she was out there doing that.
Yeah.
So you get a chance to like hold both of those and the nuance of all of that and to get your tambourines out. And if you're in a moment of freedom, you get to celebrate that too and use it as a place of strength in order to help other people around you do the same.
All right, let's leave it there. We're at time. Sarah, as always, really such a pleasure to be with you.
So
And
sweet to be together.
yeah, thanks so much.
Thanks for having me. Chodesh Tov, everyone. If you want more
Chodesh.
Rosh Chodesh or themes of the month, Athwell is a partner for you. If you're in DC, come to be with me tomorrow night. And yeah, so grateful to have you all welcome me into this space.
Thank you. Okay. Thanks to Rachel. Thanks to each of you. Join us tomorrow to practice with Allison Cohen. And many blessings, everyone. Be safe and well. We hope to see you tomorrow at our usual time.
Chodesh Tov.
Kodesh Tov.